everybody on the internet? My name is Stephen Beacham, producer of the Byte Extra Crunchy podcast with your host, Mr. Brian Tong.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Byte Extra Crunchy. We keep it extra munchy, our complimentary piece to our weekly show. You know how it is. It's everything good and bad inside the world of Apple, just a lot more in depth. And before we start the show, because people like to chime in when they're watching live, we got to give props to Orlando and Orlando. Orlando said hi.
Orlando is hanging out in Orlando right now?
Orlando in Orlando says what's up. All right. This is episode 115. Again, you can call us to be a part of the show. We actually got a lot of calls, but some were like really hard to hear, so we're not going to play them. And some were just really long and made no sense whatsoever. So remember, keep it tight. Remember, think about what you're going to say before you say it, because I think that helps. Like, just grab your thoughts together before you call in.
Make some notes.
The number. Yeah, make some notes, just like some bullet points even. 1-800-616-2638. That is the number to call. Again, we want to remind you that this is the last show of the year. We'll be back in about a month. So not much. The good thing is not much crazy Apple news happens during this whole CES break, but maybe there will. We don't know. We won't be here. We're going to be. Where are you going to go on vacation, Beach?
I'm going to LA for like 5 days. Going to hit Universal Studios.
Dude,
hang out with the wife's
like
fam.
2 blocks for me.
Is it
Literally
really?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
We need to talk. I'm going to go back to the Bay Area, though.
Oh, you're going to be in the Bay? Nice.
I'm going to be in the Bay. So,
yeah, I'm
right.
stoked. I'm stoked.
Anyways, enjoy the time with your loved ones, friends, families, or yourself this break. But we will be gone for a month. But let's jump into the stories. Really, the lead story this week is coming to us from Bloomberg. I don't know. This gave me an eye roll, Beach. Here we go. Here's the headline from Bloomberg. Mark Gurman and company, all those friends over there. Apple plans a combined iPhone, iPad, and Mac apps to create one user experience.
Oh, wow. Here we go.
Can anyone say Microsoft?
They had to do this, man.
Did I catch a cold? Microsoft. Wow.
They totally had to do this because all their stuff's segmented, you know. They just had to they have to unify everything. Unification.
Yeah, and look, you're right, isn't it? It is an inevitability. They've kind of been they've been so stubborn about it. I want to hear in the comments, people are watching, we'll kind of let you chime in and kind of drop what you're doing. We've got some eye rolls already being posted in the comments, but here we go. Apple's aim is to let developers expand iOS apps to Mac computers. I don't know. I'm kind of laughing inside a little bit. Now, here's the thing. Here's some of the strategy behind it, and we'll kind of talk and break it down. Apple's customers in the past have complained that some of these, like the Mac App Store apps, they get kind of the short end of the stick. They're not as in-depth. People are, no matter what, let's be honest, developers, if you're going to pick between App Store and Mac Store, you're going to go App Store first. You're not even going to care about the Mac Store as much. But at the same time, there's some developers who've been able to make a nice little niche in the Mac Store because there's not as much love there, okay? So this is what's going to happen. We've always talked about like, oh, will Apple make a laptop with touch, capabilities on a screen, or an iMac with touch?
Please.
This is the first step to getting there.
Yeah. Building
apps that work for both iOS, iPhone, iPad, and Mac at the same time. In addition to that, the belief is that these apps will not only work with a touch interface, but they will be made to work with a mouse as well, a click and point mouse.
Nice.
So according to this report, starting as early as next year, software developers will be able to design a single application that works with a touchscreen or mouse or trackpad, depending on whether it's running on the iPhone or iMac or hardware. That's according to people familiar with the matter, and this is directly from Bloomberg's report. Currently, developers must design 2 different apps, what we've talked about, one for iOS, one for the Mac Store. That's not as efficient. And then also by unifying these apps, they could help iOS and macOS kind of evolve and grow as one. Like, look, this is literally what Microsoft has been pushing, universal apps that work both on even games. Let's talk about Xbox.
That's
games,
the big one. That's the big one. Yeah.
Right? Xbox One games such as Cuphead, Forza 7, and I think Gears of War 4, at least off the top of my head, those are 3 titles that work both on the console. But if you're a Windows 10 owner, you can directly download those games and play them I can play them on a Surface with a Bluetooth controller.
Yeah.
So
That's
this
the
whole
key is the games. I mean, that's everything. And then if they're going to be moving into AR and VR and all that stuff, they got to get on board with the games, you know?
So this is all about this universal app. Apple is developing this strategy as kind of the next major iOS and Mac OS updates that will be announced next year. The project is codenamed Marzipan, according to their sources. Marzipan is that a sweet almondy?
Yeah, it's an
you know,
almond like paste for
yeah, it's an
cakes.
almond paste that I love.
It's good.
Which also brings back one of my favorite Ben and Jerry ice cream flavors. Did any of you ever have Mission to Marzipan back in the day? Do you know what I'm talking
No,
about?
I don't.
Okay, it was this amazing, like almond cookies, and then like that sweet almond marzipan swirls in it. It was ridiculous, and they got rid of it, and it's been gone for like 7 or 8 years, and I don't know what they're doing, but they should bring it back. This is a side request in case anyone from Ben and Jerry's is listening to this podcast.
So they're calling it marzipan, like that seems kind of like an Android thing, how they name everything after food, you know, and like a candy or something. So, right?
Dang, Beach.
Like what we had Kit Kat. What do we have now? What's a new Android?
Set Oreo for Android. So this secret project that is no longer a secret, Marzipan, is planned as a multi-year effort. It's going to start rolling out to developers as early as next year, and will most definitely, according to this report, be announced at the annual developers conference in the summer. This is also what I found kind of interesting and funny. You have to rewind a little bit back in time, but there was a point in time specifically, and Apple has always said, if you've looked historically, when they have been approached specifically about bringing the two worlds together, they've outright said, oh no, iOS is a separate experience from macOS. They offer different benefits, and all of us are like saying, dude, just make an Apple version of the Surface Pro and it'll be sick, right? I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people have been wanting that, but instead they've actually gone over to the Surface Pro because you can do so many more things. You can use, desktop-based apps and run these other, use it as a tablet as well. So remember, we made fun of this in the show years ago. Tim Cook had argued that he kind of used this comparison, and this is his quote: "You can converge a toaster and a refrigerator, but those things are probably not going to be pleasing to the user." He said this in 2012. Craig Federighi also called the blending of iOS and macOS a compromise.
Ooh,
Really?
Ooh, a compromise. That's an ugly word. Now, you know what? I got to say something, though, about I don't have a Microsoft Surface, but I have a Windows 10 laptop touchscreen. And I completely avoid all the tile applications, you know what I mean? Like the applications that are optimized for both a laptop and a Microsoft Surface. Like I avoid those. I just want the PC ones, because they're always kind of limited and they look crappy. So I think Microsoft can definitely do a better job of integrating those into all their laptops and tablets. But I do avoid them. So if Apple can do it better, then I'd be all on board. And it's definitely going to be all about the games.
Are people that are watching and listening right now, are you guys on board with this? I just want to see your yes or your no's, your thumbs up or thumbs down. I think what's also interesting, and we'll kind of get the pulse of everybody, but what's also interesting is by opening this gateway to allow iOS apps to be ported to or made for also Mac, I think you're going to see two things. You're going to get a flood of garbage because how many, like you're going to get a flood of garbage, but like in any situation with developers that care, there will be developers like, for example, Affinity Photo is one of the, not Infinity War, but Affinity Photo. It just was rewarded like one of the best apps of the year. Really my favorite app on the iPad Pro, giving me complete like Photoshop control with a pen stylus on an iPad. It does work cross-platform with the Mac-based desktop app. But those are good examples of developers that you'll want them to make an app that crosses over both iOS and macOS. So it will always come down to the developer who's going to make the quality stuff that's going to come over. Would you like to play a few games on your Mac once in a while, just while you're shooting the breeze? Like wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's
like,
going to be the biggest deal, Also, like stuff like just like using Spotify or something. If you're like used to using it a certain way on your phone all the time, and then you have to go and use it on a desktop, and you're actually like using the website interface and stuff. It's always so much different and kind of more of a pain in the ass, you know. So
Yeah.
it would be nice to be able to just use the app on your computer as you would on your phone. You know, it just
I
makes
think
sense.
this, yeah, I think this was an inevitable move for Apple. It was just one of those things where users are like, when are you going to actually do this? And we're going to see how this transition happens. I see people with thumbs up. Some people are like, yeah, okay, maybe we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But it is, I think knowing Apple, and someone makes a great point here, Caskerby, are they going to still censor conservative apps, or are they going to really curate and only approve certain apps that'll kind of be a part of this now new iOS, macOS platform? Because Apple likes to control their platform
Yeah.
more than anyone else.
It'll
So
probably be more stringent, you know, like more rules because it has to meet the guidelines for both the laptop and the tablets and the phone. So it's probably gonna be a lot more difficult for developers actually.
yeah, Naveen Kumar is saying, just put iOS apps on a Mac already. He's like, just do it.
Hell yeah.
And I think there's some great examples where that would help everyone out. And again, make this right now. We've talked about this. This is the most fragmented Apple's operating systems have ever been, when you have different hardware doing different things with different devices, even from something like an iPhone 8 to an iPhone 10 to an iPad. Those are iOS devices that all use iOS in 3 different ways. It's time to bring it together. So I think it's a really fascinating story, and I think that it's just, this is a classic thing where Apple will be so stubborn about saying, we're not going to do this, we're never going to do this, this is not going to be how it is. And then 4 or 5 years later, they decide to do it.
Yeah.
And then the general consumer is going to say, oh my gosh, Apple made iOS apps for the Mac now. And it's like, no, dude.
I know my desktop's gonna be messy, man, because I have a ton of apps on my phone, so my whole desktop's just gonna be covered in apps. They're gonna have to figure out a way to like organize that in a cool way, you know.
Somewhere Satya Nadella is smiling and kind of like half smirk giggling. That's the head of Microsoft. He's like, okay, Apple. Okay, Apple. All right. Just some kind of updates with the iPhone 10. The iPhone 10 Plus should help kind of aid in Apple's new push for OLED displays. According to some reports here, Samsung Display is now at a 90% yield rate for producing OLED screens. And what does that really mean? Earlier in the year, as Apple was ramping up to build the iPhone 10s, they were only able to get about a 60% yield rate of actual displays that could be used in these phones. It bumped up to 80% later this year. It now believes it's up to 90%, so they're able to churn through these a lot faster and more efficiently. According to a report by the investor, Samsung Display will end up supplying Apple with somewhere between 180 and 200 million flexible OLED displays for the iPhone in 2018. That's up from an estimated 50 million from this year. Jeez. So that's a big jump. Also, let's be honest, there's a lot more time. We've had this kind of like last quarter of 2017 versus a full year in 2018. Also, the general thinking is that a big amount of these OLEDs will also go towards the iPhone 10 Plus, or whatever they call it, right? Just the larger iPhone display that's expected to be a 6.4-inch OLED, just a big size iPhone 10 ultimately, to kind of diversify their lineup even more. But that is something that we're expecting to see next year sometime, just a whole lot more of OLED. And there is no comment on Apple's dependence, if they're still really going to start producing OLEDs out of their own factories or work with some of these other companies. There hasn't been a sign yet that they've been successfully been able to flip that switch on, but they'll definitely need it. So get ready, more OLEDs for the iPhone. Now, here's the story about the iPhone that has been getting probably the most buzz over the past week. I'm not sure if you heard about it or read about it, but it kind of started on Reddit. And a user posted how basically the performance on their old iPhone 6s seemed like really slow once they had updated the operating system, and they're wondering like what is going on. And so what they did is they actually replaced their battery in their phone, and then they ran they first did an original Geekbench score on their kind of worn down battery running the latest operating system. I think it was like iOS 11 or 11.2, and they're like, I'm getting weak scores, a single core score of 1466 and a multi-core score of 2512. Okay, so then they put in a new battery, and much to their surprise, but also what they had thought, the performance on their phone jumped up significantly. The single core score of 2526, which is almost double, and a multi-core score of 4456, which is almost double. Now, forget about the numbers. The performance of the phones were actually just a lot better, almost twice as fast. And so what did Geekbench do? Well, Geekbench wanted to analyze and see, like, okay, is there really a correlation between the operating systems and how they deal with power management? So Geekbench took the iPhone 6s and ran their own tests, and basically they're looking for Geekbench performance scores. They have an iPhone 6s running 10.2, and basically the general scores hit on that high 2500 mark score. But as they started updating the OS on this phone to check its performance levels and what the Geekbench scores were getting, you start to see a broader range of scores anywhere from 1000 to 2500. Okay, so you see this deviation that not all these phones are performing at their highest rate as you update your phone. Now, they did the same thing with the iPhone 7. It wasn't as drastic, but again, as they updated the operating system, clearly the power management and performance is different. They saw similar spikes in iOS 11.2 on the iPhone 7 as they did with iOS 11.2 on the 6S. And so now everyone is saying, like, what is going on? What is really happening here? Now, clearly batteries do age over time. And one of the issues, if you don't remember, Apple had released a software update. I think it was like 10.2.1. And that was because people's phones were actually, specifically, I think 6 and 6Ss, were randomly shutting down when they were around 30% battery. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember a story about that, yeah.
So this is kind of an explanation of what happened. Many iPhones, this is according to the Geekbench story and a quote from Reddit, that many iPhone 6s devices were shutting down unexpectedly, even after the battery replacement program, because degraded batteries last much less and end up with lower voltage. Apple's solution was to scale down CPU performance. Again, this doesn't solve anything, and it is a bad experience. Your phone is actually slower, but it's better than having your device shut down at around a 40%, 30% battery juice life when you need it the most. And so
that's
now,
like such a compromise right there.
It is, right? And ultimately, it's not a good option.
No.
Is it better than a shutdown? Yes, but people have started to kind of figure this out and put the pieces together. So if you're experiencing some of these issues, we just want to talk about it. It is a very kind of like in-depth, almost insider baseball, what is happening to iPhone 6s and 6Ss specifically as you update the operating system. But how many times have you heard people after 2 years, and lo and behold, this is the 2-year mark, oh, my phone is feeling slow.
It's almost like it's almost like an old wives' tale at this point, like, oh, it's 2 years is up, Apple's throttling me now, I have to go get a new phone. It's almost like an inside joke that a lot of us say to each other, like even just, not even people in the tech field, just random consumers, they feel that, everyone kind of feels that.
And to my point, I've always told people, if you have a phone that's 2 years old, don't update to the latest operating system. So part of this is clearly the way that it deals with power management. When there's a lower voltage coming from the batteries, because these batteries are worn out, instead of shutting down the phone, they're going to scale down the performance. So this is just something to know. Apple hasn't confirmed this. Apple hasn't responded to this, but now at least you have a legitimate benchmarking site that is testing these out and showing that this does happen in both the iPhone 6s and an iPhone 7 as you update the software to the phones.
It's a bummer, man.
So
you would think like updating to the latest would make your phone faster and improve it. Like that's what everyone wants to think. But
I feel like in the past sometimes did, but in general, most of the time when you're running a more advanced OS on hardware Apple is always going to prioritize the newest phone with the newest software, and then they'll go to the phone 1 year lower and then the phone 2 years lower. And you can only squeeze out so much from that phone when it's a 2-year-old phone. I mean, there's a lot of advancements that happen in that time. So I get that, it may not perform as well, but I just tell people, don't update your OS if you're one of those phones. Just don't do it. If you're in the 2 year window, don't do it.
Okay.
If it's at the 2-year point, basically, or the 2-phone cycle, just don't do it. And I think that this is going to gain even more steam as more people talk about this. I think as it becomes more of a mainstream story, and it's starting to get there, people aren't going to be happy about this. But at the same time, what can you do other than, like, is someone going to file, someone going to file a lawsuit against Apple, or a class action lawsuit? I mean, who knows?
It's possible. I mean, it's totally possible, because people feeling like they're getting throttled. Like AT&T throttles me when I get to like 22 gigs a month or something, but I have unlimited data. So they're saying, oh, we're going to start throttling you after you reach 16 gigs or something. And I'm like, well, that's not unlimited, like I'm paying for unlimited data and you're throttling me. So why are you slowing me down, And it's upsetting, It's upsetting.
Where people are upset. People are only going to get more upset listening to this, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, they have a right to,
All right, I'll get you a little more upset if you want AirPods. They are out. Apple is officially sold out of AirPods until January of next year. So I know, Beach, that was probably like the gift that would keep giving for you. But according to, if you go to the Apple online store, if you even go to choose to pick up AirPods, at least with Apple retail, you might find them at like Best Buy and other places, or Target or something. You might find them. Right now through Apple, AirPods are out until January. Which then leads to our next story, like when will the next AirPods come out? According to Ming-Chi Kuo, and this just makes logical sense to all of us here. According to Ming-Chi Kuo from Digitimes, Apple is expected to release an upgrade to the AirPods in the second half of 2018. That would pretty much put this upgrade about 2 years out. Like I said, when they first came out, they don't need to upgrade this every year. They need to catch up with even selling them. They're a really, really, really good product. They're not great yet. They can be better. They still blip out on me when I'm out on the street. Like the sound once in a while will just like cut out and you're like, oh, what the hell was that? Right? It does happen. And also I want better touch controls in them. And do we really have to keep the Q-tip look? Like, do we really have to do that still?
Yeah. Get rid of that.
They're going to keep that. I think this is just what it's going to be for a while. So anyways, expect that sometime in late 2018. We are still expecting why does it slip my mind? Is it AirPower, that pad that I keep on making fun of?
Yeah, I think it's called AirPower. Yeah.
That's expected to come out sometime next year. Here's the other thing I want to bring up that I realized about the AirPower pad. It's a wireless charging pad. It charges your phone, your AirPods with the new updated case, and your Apple Watch. But if you're someone who has an Apple, basically, if you have an Apple Watch that has like the sporty rubber band that can actually come apart in two, or some of the leather bands, you're going to be able to lay that flat. But if you're someone who has something like the metal link watch bands, some of the classier ones that actually can't flatten out, you're not going to be able to use the AirPower Maxi Pad with it.
That's a bummer, man.
It has to stay flat.
Those other bands are way more expensive too, and like have all kinds of built-in functionality. So that is a bummer.
It's so stupid, because not stupid for them, but stupid that I didn't even think about it, because I just saw the picture. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll be able to charge all 3 devices and pay $200 for that. But it's like, all right, fine. I'm going to try it out. But I can't even, my phone, I have that classy steel link band on, and it's not gonna, it won't, I can't use that with it.
So it actually absolutely has to sit completely flat on that thing.
It has to sit flat on that thing.
Do they have like a special Apple Watch one? Like, well, probably not, but if they had one that was like a watch holder kind of thing, that would be kind of cool.
I mean, there's companies that make stuff like that. Someone's like, you got to slide the band. I ain't gonna slide the band off. That link, the metal link thing stays like in a chain. You have to like break it apart.
That's a lot of work.
Guess what? Before our holiday season, because we told them we're going to be gone for a month, no one wanted to sponsor the show, so we're going to end it right now. Just kidding. All right, let's get some more stories this week. This is kind of the ongoing battle between Apple and Amazon. This is finally like a little kumbaya moment for both Apple and Amazon. Amazon says Prime Video, the actual Prime Video app, had the most first week downloads of any Apple TV app ever.
Wow.
Amazon Prime Video, there's so much demand, according to an Apple. This is according to an Amazon spokesperson. It had the most first week downloads of any app in the history of tvOS.
That's
I believe
great.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe that.
That's
It's
great.
totally free. I don't know how many of you jumped on board and just got it because it works for both the Amazon TV 4K. What is that music?
This is Kumbaya. I chose the wrong version of Kumbaya.
I'm like, oh, we're getting a instrumental guitar.
Yeah,
So
I wanted to play
anyways,
the Kumbaya moment for these two, but I found the
it's
wrong
all right.
version. It works.
The so Amazon Prime Video app #1 top most downloaded in the first week in the history of tvOS, which then of course, now that Apple and Amazon are on good terms, the Apple TV is now finally back on sale on Amazon. Remember,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
much like Amazon is having this beef with Google where YouTube is no longer can be streamed on Amazon devices. Amazon's like, screw you, we're taking off the Google Home and Chromecast from Amazon. At least Apple and Amazon have squashed their beef. So you can now get an Apple TV on Amazon, but they're out of stock.
Oh, they already sold out, right?
They are out of stock.
Wow.
Just letting you know. And then other news just quickly for the holidays for some Apple TV 4K bundles. Apple is doing that on their, I guess, should I call it their iTunes store or just on their movie store? You can now get like different bundles, great 4K bundles like Transformers, like all 5 movies. No thanks. I was curious just to be like, oh, okay, like what 4K bundles? They have like the Hunger Game bundles. They have other 4K ones. They even have something like Action Adventure where they put together like The Accountant, Argo, and Into the Storm. But as I was curious, I looked up the Transformers package deal that they have going on right now, and 3 of the 5 movies were rated below 20% Rotten Tomato. One of them was like a 35, and then the very first one was like at a 50, 57.
Oh wow. I wonder if they based like the prices off the those ratings, those movie ratings. Okay,
This
we'll
one,
give you some 20% rated videos for free and all the
I'm looking
higher
at
rated
these
ones.
deals. Yeah, I'm looking at these deals. Maybe the best deal is, I'm gonna say, for drama for $25, Life of Pi, The Martian, and Revenant. Those are
Yeah,
actually
that's what I'm looking at too.
legit movies.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen The
also
Revenant, but the other two.
Sony Pictures for $20, they got Bad Boys, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and The Professional. That's kind of a dope deal.
Yeah, that is.
I'm just listing off stuff.
Sci-fi fantasy, Blade Runner, I Am Legend. That might be cool.
Totally worth it. All right, let's jump over to games and apps. Just some quick notes before we end up this holiday season. If you thought Pokemon Go was dead, I feel like it's dead, but they're trying to bring it back. And what they're doing now exclusively on the iPhone, because the iPhone now has ARKit involved in it, they're calling Pokemon Go is calling this an AR Plus mode, again powered by Apple's ARKit. Now, what makes this different is that before, you would use the ARKit mode in Pokemon Go and you'd see the character there and it just would like stay there and run around. Well, now the characters are actually anchored to the ground. You can go up close to them, so they'll increase in size. You can get an idea of the size of the Pokemon. Like Pikachu is not the same as like, who knows? Who else who do I like?
Charizard.
Oh, Charizard's a good one. Charizard's a good one. Yeah. I like
Squirtle.
Kyogre. Yeah, Squirtle's a cute one. So anyways, it anchors the actual character there. You can move around them, but then they also say if you get too close to some of them or kind of like surprise them, they'll run away, but it just keeps it locked in the space. So like there's like a video clip that you guys could check out. CNET, got to go and check it out. It's fun, whatever.
Can you kick them? That's what I want to know.
I don't think you can kick them.
No? Oh.
No, not at all. The other game that is worth checking out, it's kind of hard to deal with, but it's called Rainbrow. Have you seen this game?
No. Let me see.
Kind of getting some buzz.
Rainbrow.
Rainbrow is this game where think of it as like a jumping game where you're just kind of jumping up different ledges and trying to avoid things flying in it, but you use your eyebrows. You jump up, and then you do a frown to move down, and then you keep your face like normal to keep it in place. I did find this very difficult to move down because when you frown, it tends to jump down more than one notch, so it makes it hard. But when you use your eyebrows up, you give a little up, it definitely jumps accurately. You it's called Rainbrow.
It's fun to watch people play.
It's called Rainbrow. I'm telling you, this is like for the kids, for the family. You got to get this game.
That's
I know
funny.
Gil Cabrera is like downloading this right now. He's like, Rainbow, I'm on it. I'm on it. I already know you, Gil.
Dude,
So
my kids would love that game, dude. That's hilarious.
I'm telling you, man. The other cool app that just dropped a little update. I'm a big user of the Shazam for iOS. Finally, is getting offline mode. So what that means is, if you have a poor or crappy internet connection, you can still use Shazam, and then once you get an internet connection, it will then send the data later on and then tell you the songs that you heard. Because I hate it when I want to hear a song and I have bad data and it won't work.
That's cool. So like it keeps a record of songs you've listened to just while you're walking through your life, and then it'll email you later, or you have to
prompt it.
You have to prompt it. That's pretty cool though.
But it'll most likely, at least while it's listening in now, record that song snippet and then upload it later on, which is cool.
That is cool.
And then for holiday season, just a little deal action for you guys and gals. iTunes, there's a $100 gift card that you can get for $85 using the code iTunes15, and it will be an email delivered iTunes gift card from Amazon in case you want to jump on that. I don't know. We don't do deals that often, but I saw that. I'm like, this is useful. Like,
it's a great last minute gift. Save $15.
Yeah, it's totally personal. It's an email. Totally personal.
That's cool, dude.
So
I'm all about the deals, man.
Oh, I mean, I'm all about the deals. It's just real personal. Hey, honey, here's a virtual iTunes gift card. I got 15% off.
Yeah. I know my wife would be stoked because she's a big music person, so she'd be stoked. Oh, I got $100 to spend on some music. Nice.
Jump on that.
Yeah.
All right, and before we go, just to end the show, this is like the last story before we get to our calls. Apple's newest Mac, the Mac Pro, the Trashcan Mac, as of today, it turned 4 years old.
That's amazing. I've only seen like 3 of them in the wild, dude.
I mean, we invested in them, and then people like got pretty sick of them pretty fast.
Yeah, I don't see anybody using them at all, ever.
So
wow, it's 4 years.
It was
old.
Technically December 19th was its birthday, but I think it's gonna, when we look back in time, it's gonna be one of the black eyes, because it's black eyes from Apple's history, because also they didn't upgrade or do anything with it for 4 years, and then their idea of a pro computer became the iMac Pro, and now they're gonna give us a modular Mac, maybe 5 years after this, and after doing nothing with it. It's pretty bad. Like, it's pretty bad strategy wise.
Yeah.
And again, the thing that will also live in infamy is when they released this Mac Pro, Phil Schiller walked out on stage all cocky and he said, "Can't innovate my ass."
Did he say that?
Like, yeah. Because
wow.
It kind of came as a surprise at the keynote. And then he strutted on stage after they showed the cool promo videos, like, "Can't innovate my ass." And everyone started laughing. And it's like, probably shouldn't have said that.
That's a misstep.
Hindsight's 2020, though. Hindsight's 2020.
Baba Booey would have called that a big misstep in Apple's history.
All right, should we get to the calls?
Let's do some calls. Thank you guys all for calling. We had a bunch, and we narrowed it down to, I think, 4,
4 or 5, something like that.
So here we go. Oh,
guys,
I turned up the wrong fader. Hang on, let me start it over.
Grand Ridge, Illinois.
Wrong fader, my bad.
Hey guys, Matt from Grand Ridge, Illinois. Yeah, I was just curious about iPhones with the new 5G network that is coming out. Any updates on that? Thanks. Love your show. Bye.
5G.
So the first thing to make it very clear is, because of Apple's decisions, their current iPhone 10s that you have will not support 5G networks, or at least get those, optimal 5G speeds that are expected to come out. I think realistically we're going to start seeing, I think T-Mobile per se might be pushing it, but it's not going to happen really anytime soon. It's probably going to happen sometime. We might see 5G networks starting rolling out maybe late 2018. It won't be anything prevalent where all carriers will be up to 5G speeds. Honestly, I'm going to say somewhere around, late 2019, 2020. It's going to take some time to get here. So yeah, sure, your iPhone work there, but when a 5G network is going to be available sometime, most likely in 2018, you probably want a phone that is capable to do that, and the iPhone 10 is not one of them. Actually, any of the iPhones is not one of them. So it's something to look out for. It's still taking its time. It's not going to be like a switch is flipped on, and all of a sudden we're going to see it in a month or two. It's still going to be a while, but we're expecting to at least see one of the carriers go for it by the end of 2018. So we'll see if that actually does happen.
Yeah. I remember the first time when they turned on 4G. That was a pretty big deal. And
4G LTE, baby.
It was so much faster, too.
Game changer.
Yeah. Okay, next call. Here we go.
Beach and Tong, what's going on? This is Colin from Atlanta again, and I'd just like to call in and ask your opinion. Do you think Apple will release their own HomeKit certified home security camera system, either just one single camera or maybe an array of cameras in 2018? Love the show. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Will they do that? Probably. I'm gonna say no, not next year.
Yeah, they don't do camera stuff ever, really. I've never seen like an Apple webcam or anything like that.
I wouldn't put it past. Oh, they did have. Do you remember they had the FaceTime camera that was like a silver cylinder that you could get in addition to your iMac years ago?
It was like a thing you mount on your iMac.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I don't recall that.
It actually looked pretty dope. I still have it at my apartment.
Is it widescreen, like HD widescreen and everything?
It was I feel like it was a 720p cam at the time. It wasn't HD, like it wasn't like 1080p. It wasn't super fan. It actually might have not been 720p. It might have been 480p. It was a long time ago. It was a long time ago, but they did put out a webcam. I don't want Apple to make a security cam, and the reason being is they need a freaking focus. They need to stop making new crap and make their bread and butter really good. Like they're doing too much stuff. Just slow your roll a little bit. I'm not telling them out of all the people in this world to say stay in your lane. I'm just saying, you have so many things going on. Just kind of tighten it up a little bit, man. Just tighten it up.
I remember we used to say that about Google too. It'd be like Google's doing so much stuff. They would like launch 3 of the same product at the same product launch. Now it's like Apple is doing the same thing.
Oh, you can tell. Like Apple is doing so many different things. Like the focus, the quality and the focus that used to be there just isn't there anymore. It's just a fact.
And they're also moving too. Moving is hard. They're moving into the new campus. So.
I'm not going to use that as an excuse. They moved like 2 miles, if that. If that. And it's like all fancy and stuff. They should be like, there should be like motivated to be like, oh, we're going to make this good so we don't look stupid right now.
Yeah.
That's what they got to focus on.
Cool. All right. And I think this guy had a follow-up real quick. Let's see.
Also, this is Colin again. Colin, where did you get that shirt? That is pretty dope. All right. Bye.
This one, I think he's talking about last week.
Yeah,
and I didn't even remember what I wore, but I had to look it up. Although I hope he thinks this shirt is dope too. But it was like this like reddish camo shirt from G-Star Raw. I just gave out all my secrets, guys. All my
G-Star Raw. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Why are we talking about clothes?
Oh no, they always want to know about your clothes, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Last call. Here we go.
What's crack-a-lack in Beach and Tong? This is Tyler from hot Atlanta. So I got a couple things here. One, I've got the iPhone X or iPhone 10, and I really, really like it. Definitely, battery life's actually a lot better than what I expected. And that's even with using Google Maps and so forth or Waze. Anyway, really liking the camera as well. Definitely a great phone and so forth. But my main thing was about the Apple Watch. 2 things. One, do you feel like that the Apple Watch will ever get Spotify or Pandora for streaming services? Okay, that's my first question. Second question is, does anybody know how to turn off explicit lyrics on, the Apple radio? All right, just want to ask that question. Just got done working out the gym, and obviously didn't like all the cussing and everything like that. It's just my personal preference. Anyway, freedom.
Freedom.
I'm pretty positive that you can turn off the explicit lyrics on Apple Music in the settings. Let's see here.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm almost positive. I remember that being an actual like option. Now, you know, you can turn off. Let's see here. I'm gonna, because we're just hanging out right now. Turn off. Yeah, you have to go into the settings of Apple Music's app specifically. Scroll to the allowed content section, and then you can turn explicit content off.
Nice.
You have to confirm it by entering in your passcode, but you can do it directly from the settings in the app.
Cool. That's helpful.
That is, and then what was his other question? Oh, Spotify and other services.
Pandora, yeah.
You know, I wish they did, but because, you know, you can do it from your phone. I feel like Apple's like, hey, we're already letting you do these other music services on your phone. Please, I wish they could, but right now with the Apple Watch, the only music service that they're promoting to operate on it is Apple Music. If you pay for a subscription, you can stream specifically from the watch over LTE, which is awesome. That's the only reason I like flirted with the idea of getting Apple Music, but I don't expect them to put any other third-party services to stream directly from the watch and only from the watch. I just don't think they continue to be more locked down than ever, and I wish they did, but I don't see it happening.
Really? That's a bummer. They're not letting people build third-party music apps for the Apple Watch? That's
well, you can, but they're not I'm talking about using it specifically with just LTE on the watch itself.
I see. Okay.
Right now, Apple Music is that app. I'm like 99% sure. So if I'm wrong, someone should correct me. But I know that they have watch versions of the app, but it's pulling from the phone, not from just the watch specifically.
Yeah, because what was their sales pitch? Like 2 million songs in your watch or something like that, right?
Exactly.
So they can improve that number a little bit. All your music apps in your watch.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Is this it?
That's it. 2017 is almost done.
It's a wrap. I can't wait, honestly.
I know, right?
I'm not going to lie.
It was a crazy year.
So anyways, everyone, thanks so much for listening and just helping build this podcast to make it what it is. We continue to get more viewers, more subscribers, and we continue to get more sponsors from it. So yeah. I think it's a win-win across the board, and it's all thanks to you. So I think from myself and Beecham, I don't know if you have any of the words, Beach, but definitely thank you to everybody. We're so grateful.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We had a really awesome year, and we'll be back to do it again next year.
Yeah, late January, I think we're coming back. So
late Jan. Look for us at CES and Detroit Auto Show. That's where I'm going to be the next couple weeks.
Yowzas. Me too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, everybody. Thanks so much for listening again. Have a great holidays. Enjoy the time off. Be safe. And until next year, 2018, we will see you then. Peace.